Every fifth year, DOR conducts a comprehensive review and certifies all values. These reviews are known as revaluations or certification years. Up until fiscal year 2017, all communities were on a 3-year certification schedule. As of fiscal year 2018, all communities are now on a 5-year certification schedule as a result of the Municipal Modernization Act passed in 2016. As an assessor, you need to understand the objectives of the entire certification process and what's expected of you. You'll need to develop a reevaluation program and submit a work plan to the Bureau of Local Assessment. Values are adjusted every year to reflect market conditions, regardless of whether your community is in a certification year. During the other 4 interim years, assessors must still value all property at fair cash value as of January 1st each year. So, how do you monitor the market for changes during the interim years 1 through 4? You need to perform ratio studies that provide you with statistical information you can use to adjust property valuations. Let's look at an example during an interim year. The initial sales analysis indicates the assessment sales ratios, or ASR, for the subclasses of the residential property classes are the following: 75% for single-family sales, 70% for condo sales, 95% for vacant land sales, and 96% for two-family sales. For acceptable results, assessors must adjust the low ASR ratios for the single-family and condo classes to comply with DOR guidelines. After these adjustments are made, all residential subclasses must have ASRs between 90% and 110%, and the ASRs must all be within 5% of one another. Remember, CODs must also fall within DOR guidelines. Maintaining an accurate and up-to-date database is essential for every assessor's office. In-house staff and contracted personnel, if applicable, should be in place and be well trained in their role and the certification process. Adequate funding is a crucial element of a successful revaluation. Note, DOR recommends that funds needed to complete the entire revaluation be secured up to 2 years in advance. Regardless of whether valuation work is being performed in-house or by outside contractors, the Board of Assessors is responsible for the work. If the assessors cannot complete everything that is expected of them in-house, there are appraisal firms and consultants available for hire. It is important to remember that if an outside contractor is hired, an appropriate procurement contract is required, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30B, and used to specify all aspects that the contractor is responsible for. It is recommended that hired contractors be familiar with the immediate area and be familiar with the camera system in place. Assessors should look at the previous contracts and whether the firms or consultants have worked in similar-sized communities while having similar characteristics. Hiring private contractors for certification services can be expensive. Fight for your fair share of the community's budget. It is important to note that if outside contractors are relied upon, a legal procurement contract is required under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30B. In general, a contract by a municipality for certification or other assessing services should contain the following topics: the agreement, scope of work completed, time and expected delivery of completed materials, compensation, general requirements pertaining to performance bonds, time frame for submissions of proposals, rights reserved by the municipality, etc. Assessors also need to carefully prepare the wording of the contract if any uncertainties unfold as the certification process gets underway. Contractors should have some familiarity with your community and the surrounding area. Make sure your selected contractors are familiar with your system and can successfully use your CAMA. It's a small world. Check their histories in the other communities they've worked in. A completed work plan form is required by DOR and will identify any contractors involved, list the completed timeframes, and who's specifically responsible for each portion of the certification review. The work plan is submitted at the very beginning of the certification process and regularly referenced by both the assessors and DOR personnel when monitoring your certification strategy. The form is entered and submitted in the gateway system and can be easily updated as needed. Each community is formally certified by the DOR every 5 years. All assessors need to be keenly aware of their roles and expectations. After the certification review is completed, the assessors are still required to update property values during the interim years by analyzing the market sales and making adjustments where they are needed. A work plan specifies all important timelines, who is responsible for each component, lists all contractors, and records the expected dates for all projects to be completed. It is an important reference tool used by both the assessors and the DOR.